A pleasant welcome to a very special interview here with Oscar Bloh. And so today we be talking about one
God.
single.
Not contact, please. Yeah.
You good?
Stand by.
So, Mr. Bloh, Edward,
Yeah?
we allow him to do his own introduction.
Okay.
Yeah, then he can respond now.
Okay. Yeah.
Go in.
So a pleasant welcome to this special interview. We have a very special guest to talk about something very important that will in not too long benefit Liberia and its citizens as well. So welcome, Mr. Bloh.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So we are here today talking about something special. I want yourself to talk about it. What is it that you want us to talk about that is so important?
Okay, so my name is Oscar Bloh. I represent the Center for Democratic Governance, and we're in partnership with the Liberia Economic Activity Dialogue activity, and it's being funded by USAID. And this project is to do a research and a policy advocacy around the operationalization of the special economic zone, and particularly the special economic zone that the government plans to establish in the port city of Buchanan, Grand Bassa County.
It is, I'm correct, but it's called a Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone, SAPS, is that it?
No, it's called a special economic zone that was established by law in 2017.
Okay.
That portion that you've mentioned is a pilot project.
Okay.
The Agro Special Economic Zone is funded by the African Development Bank and is implemented by the National Investment Commission.
Okay,
So it's a sub, correct.
SAP is sub of
Oh,
SEZ.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So what is SEZ all about?
Well, this is a development model that has been growing now across Africa, and it's intended to attract large-scale investment, and it's intended to create a special site, and that will be used for multiple industrial purposes. And then, and as I said, apart from attracting large-scale private sector investment, it is also intended to create jobs for local private sector actors, but to also broaden the economy for inclusive economic growth and development.
Okay, before we look deep into the benefits and what people hope to achieve out of it, tell us a little bit about the structure of the special economic zone. Is it a movement? Would it be an agency, a commission, or a ministry that you want to establish or operationalize?
So according to the Act that created a special economic zone in 2017, the Act called for the establishment of the institutional framework that is called the Liberia Special Economic Zone Authority.
Okay.
So this is the body that will be legally responsible to provide oversight and regulate the sector once it comes into operation. And this special economic zone is a model that is not new to Liberia. If you may recall, Tolbo had a Liberia Free Zone Authority on the Somalia draft that used to produce local products for local markets, and that helped to accelerate and to stimulate the economy. This one, this government has chosen the Port of Buchanan based on studies that have been conducted on the government's request and commissioned by USAID, and in partnership with the African Development Bank. They have now recommended, based on a recommendation, that the Port of Buchanan is feasible, it has opportunities, and to accelerate economic growth and development outside of Monrovia. So the government has, in response to those assessments, and chosen the Port of Buchanan as the first legally established, to be established special economic zone going forward.
Still on the structure of this, I want to understand, you talk about it regulating the sector, what are the sectors that will form part of this special economic zone? Is it agriculture? Is it finance?
So
Or NAFA? What is it that this particular SEZ will be regulating?
So that's what it says, special economic zones. So it means the laws that the government will have on the books, those laws will be, it will not be the same kind of laws if that will be applied to the special economic zone, because it's called special. So it means there will be, so this body now will be responsible to formulate a regulation, which they've done already. There's a draft regulation that needs to be endorsed by the cabinet, and once that is endorsed, that will be the operational legal document that will lay out the benefits in terms of tax regime, in terms of asset ownership. So it's going to be a huge complex where there will be lots of different kinds of value-added chain to issues around cassava, issues around oil palm, that you translate oil palm into an added value product for export.
So basically it's about agriculture and industry all embedded into this.
All embedded into this one massive structure that will attract external and internal private sector investors.
How will it be operational? Who will be responsible to fund it? How will it have any benefit on the Liberian economy?
So the Liberia Special Economic Zone Authority is to be financed by the Liberian government.
Okay.
And that will include, it will be composed of appointees, statutory bodies, the Ministry of Finance will be on that, on that body, but there will be also two private sector persons coming from the private sector who will be on that authority. So the government is responsible for the operations of that authority. That authority now will be in place to regulate who comes, who is certified as a developer or as an operator of a private special economic zone within the port of Buchanan. And that requires access to land, because it's a massive investment. So that's what that means. The private sector investor needs to have land to be able to invest, to be able to build the infrastructure that is needed. Issue of access to electricity, issue of access to road, because the private sector developers will say, okay, if we produce products from timber into wood, from cassava into other starch, into different value-added products, from oil palm into soap, that can be for the local market, but also to export. It is through the export that the government will be able to earn foreign exchange, and that will beef up the economy, create jobs for the citizens in the Basel area, but also for qualified and competent Liberians. So this is a huge opportunity, and going forward, we've been in consultation with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning through the Deputy Minister for Economic Management. We've been in consultation with the chair of the National Investment Commission. We've had consultations with the private sector in Buchanan, in Ganta, and local authorities in Grand Bassa. So this is a huge opportunity for citizens to be able to have access to employment and to expand the market. That will be able to serve other counties in the southeast, that will reduce pressure on the port of Buchanan.
Why the port? Why Buchanan? Let me not limit it to the port. Why Buchanan specifically?
According to the assessments that I mentioned about, that was commissioned by USAID, they identified Buchanan for several reasons. There's an existing port, okay, at the port of Buchanan, that can be expanded. That will then broaden, the infrastructure for larger port to be able to anchor at the port of Buchanan. Buchanan is also not too far from Monrovia in terms of the paved road. Buchanan serves as the midpoint between Monrovia and the southeast. So meaning that it can accelerate trade and commerce between Nimba, Bond County, and Riverside and Sino. Basel is also suited not too far from the Tranco electricity grill. So there's also a huge opportunity to run the grill from the Transco facility not too far from Buchanan to the port of Buchanan. Buchanan is a huge population. So all these factors made Buchanan one of the most feasible centers to invest initially in a special economic zone site.
If we want to put time to all of this, when do we expect all of these words to be translated into action? In a nutshell, when do we expect this special economic zone to begin to function?
Well, we don't drive that process. We are civil society. We do the research. We engage the policymakers. We engage the private sector. And this is the government's venture. And the Minister of Finance and Development Planning has developed a very comprehensive master plan to guide the implementation of this special economic zone at the Port of Buchanan. So it is a government's project, and our work is to stimulate discussion between and amongst the various stakeholders, including the government. So it is against that background that we'll be holding this policy dialogue on next week Tuesday at Corona Hotel, involving relevant government institutions, the private sector actors, and international development partners, including African Development Bank, the World Bank, USAID, and this forum then will set the pace for how we continue to engage the government, looking at gaps, advocating for the establishment, particularly the establishment of the Liberia Special Economic Zone Authority. Nothing can move forward with the Special Economic Zone development in the Port of Buchanan without this institutional body.
I mean, bring the devil's advocate here, right? There are so many development institutions in Liberia that this government and previous governments have initiated, right? Why is this so important? Why should we put our focus on it?
The special economic zone, as we see in other countries, they have huge potentials to be able to accelerate inclusive, decentralized economic growth and economic employment. So this is a huge opportunity. If the government is able to establish this body, the Special Economic Zone Authority, that will serve as an incentive for external and external private sector investors to be able now to engage with authority to see what are the opportunities at the Port of Buchanan that will attract the investors. So with this is a different kind of model of development, and it's actually intended. It has worked in all African countries. It can work here. All we have to do is to first and foremost, again, we really call on the government to see reason. I know there are competing interests and needs financially, but this institution has to be established to complete the institutional framework. If not, it will be difficult to move this process forward.
You're having this policy dialogue. Who have you invited to it, and why did you invite the people that you intend to invite?
As a policy dialogue, we intend to create a space for policymakers and the private sector to be able to engage. So we have a panel discussion, and the Deputy Minister of Finance for Economic Management will be one of the panelists, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Investment Commission, and a Special Economic Zone expert at the African Development Bank, and the President of the Liberia Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Oswald, and the President of the Liberia Business Association. So this would be the panelists, giving their own individual perspectives of the prospects and challenges of establishing and operationalizing the Special Economic Zone at the Port of Buchanan. From the discussion, then we can come up with some action point and we can then follow up later on with the government to continue the private sector, government engagement to be able to actualize what has been put together in the master plan by the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning.
If it is established today, maybe the government through your advocacy, through one of these policy dialogue, and it is established today talking about this special economic zone, what do you envisage in the next maybe 5, 6, 7 years that this would bring to the Liberian economy?
Well, there are short, medium, and long-term benefits.
Okay, tell me about that.
Okay, so the short-term benefit will be the expansion of the port of Buchanan, in terms of infrastructure and its ability to to accommodate larger vessels that will reduce the pressure on the free port of Monrovia. The medium term is to attract foreign investors, private sector investors.
Are we lacking that already?
Well, it's to attract more. It's to attract more, particularly in the agro sector, and that's what's important, because the Bassa area has a lot of investment around agro. So how do we transform value-added chain from the agro product into value-added products that can be sold on the Liberian market, but also used for for export purposes. And in the long term benefit that will be the expansion of the Liberian economy, promoting inclusive economic growth and development.
Part of this thing I saw is reduction of poverty, something we've heard a number of times already, creation of jobs. If you put in numbers, how many jobs do you think this special economic special economic zone can create in a year or two?
I will not be able to put figures to it. This will be the function and responsibility of the Liberia Special Economic Zone Authority, and through its regulations and policy documents. But I can tell you from what we've seen in Ghana and in Nigeria, in other countries in the sub-region, if properly managed, if properly instituted and supported by the government, it has huge potential to create jobs locally.
How much poverty can it reduce?
I will not be able to tell you, but I mean, if you can create jobs for people in the Buchanan area, if they have access to credit, access to the market, that can accelerate economic growth. And once economic growth is accelerated, it expands the economy. People have money in their pockets, they can be able to spend, they can be able to manage their families, and that can reduce poverty.
And this one is intentional. How much investors can this attract to Liberia if it is established today or tomorrow or next year?
It can attract many investors, as we've seen in other countries across the world. It just needs to be properly managed. They need to see the benefits, they need to see the investment climate, they need to see that they will have access to land to expand, they need to be guaranteed that there's market for the products once they invest their money, and that will be a counterpart process between the government and this external private sector.
Does this, I mean, we're closing up now, does it take into account also electricity? Does electricity form part of all of this special economic zone?
Right, as far as we know, the African Development Bank is working and to ensure that the Transco grill that is just next to Buchanan, they have made some investment to be able to run that grill from the Transco directly to the port of Buchanan. And that will be a huge opportunity for productivity.
Again, in 30 seconds, just maybe speak to the government and tell them the importance of establishing the special economic zone through your policy dialogue you'll be having.
The government have made substantial investment in the plans. They developed a very comprehensive detailed document under the supervision of the Deputy Minister of Finance for Economic Management. That document needs to be endorsed as soon as possible, needs to be operationalized, and first and foremost, we call on the government, despite competing economic needs, to establish the Liberia Special Economic Zone Authority. This will set the basis for regulating the sector and attracting external private sector investors.
Mr. Bloh, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much. It has been my pleasure. Thank you.